What if, in the next 9 minutes, you could discover how much English you really understand? Not through grammar tests, not through difficult questions, but through real listening and real speaking. Today, you will test your English in a simple and natural way. Just listen carefully and repeat after the voice. If some sentences feel easy, that's a great sign. If some parts feel difficult, that's perfectly normal. This is not about being perfect. This is about discovering your current English level and helping your ears understand English more naturally. So relax, listen closely, and speak with confidence. Don't worry about mistakes. Just keep your voice moving and follow along. By the end of these 9 minutes, you may understand more English than you think. Are you ready? Let's begin your English test. The weather feels much better today than it did yesterday. The weather feels much better today than it did yesterday. I wasn't expecting such a long line outside the store. I wasn't expecting such a long line outside the store. That sounds like a great idea. For the weekend, that sounds like a great idea. For the weekend, she arrived a little later than everyone else. She arrived a little later than everyone else. The movie was interesting from beginning to end. The movie was interesting from beginning to end. I almost forgot where I had parked the car. I almost forgot where I had parked the car. This place looks different after the renovation. This place looks different after the renovation. He seemed quite confident during the meeting. He seemed quite confident during the meeting. The road was empty. Early in the morning, the road was empty. Early in the morning. I noticed something unusual while walking home. I noticed something unusual while walking home. The restaurant was crowded, even on a weekday. The restaurant was crowded, even on a weekday. She picked up the phone. After a few rings, she picked up the phone. After a few rings, the view from here is absolutely beautiful. The view from here is absolutely beautiful. We spent more time there than we had planned. We spent more time there than we had planned. That question was harder than I expected. That question was harder than I expected. The conversation became interesting very quickly. The conversation became interesting very quickly. I could hear music coming from next door. I could hear music coming from next door. Everything seemed quiet for a few minutes. Everything seemed quiet for a few minutes. The train arrived exactly on schedule. The train arrived exactly on schedule. She carefully checked every detail. She carefully checked every detail. The coffee smelled wonderful. From across the room, the coffee smelled wonderful. From across the room, someone left a message on my desk. Someone left a message on my desk. The lights suddenly turned on by themselves. The lights suddenly turned on by themselves. We found a comfortable place to sit and talk. We found a comfortable place to sit and talk. The sky became darker as the evening approached. The sky became darker as the evening approached. Would you mind explaining that again a little more slowly? Would you mind explaining that again a little more slowly? The traffic was heavier than anyone had anticipated. The traffic was heavier than anyone had anticipated. I never realized how large this building actually was. I never realized how large this building actually was. The discussion became more interesting after the break. The discussion became more interesting after the break. Someone must have forgotten to lock the door. Someone must have forgotten to lock the door. The atmosphere felt unusually calm this afternoon. The atmosphere felt unusually calm this afternoon. I was surprised by how quickly everything changed. I was surprised by how quickly everything changed. That explanation was clearer than the previous one. That explanation was clearer than the previous one. Several people were waiting near the entrance. Several people were waiting near the entrance. The details were different from what we expected. The details were different from what we expected. It appears that the situation has improved considerably. It appears that the situation has improved considerably. The announcement attracted attention almost immediately. The announcement attracted attention almost immediately. I happened to notice a small mistake in the report. I happened to notice a small mistake in the report. The conversation continued. long after dinner. The conversation continued long after dinner. Everything looked normal at first glance. Everything looked normal at first glance. The audience remained quiet throughout the presentation. The audience remained quiet throughout the presentation. She handled the situation remarkably well. She handled the situation remarkably well. There seems to be a misunderstanding somewhere. There seems to be a misunderstanding somewhere. The results turned out better than expected. The results turned out better than expected. That decision affected more people than we thought. That decision affected more people than we thought. The schedule has changed several times already. The schedule has changed several times already. The room felt warmer than usual today. The room felt warmer than usual today. I wasn't aware that the rules had changed. I wasn't aware that the rules had changed. The meeting lasted longer than originally planned. The meeting lasted longer than originally planned. The message wasn't delivered until much later. The message wasn't delivered until much later. His response was thoughtful and carefully considered. His response was thoughtful and carefully considered. The crowd gradually became larger as time passed. The crowd gradually became larger as time passed. The project required more effort than expected. The project required more effort than expected. I could immediately tell something was different. I could immediately tell something was different. The arrangement seems practical for everyone involved. The arrangement seems practical for everyone involved. Nobody seemed concerned about the delay. Nobody seemed concerned about the delay. The information was presented in a straightforward way. The information was presented in a straightforward way. The discussion focused mainly on future plans. The discussion focused mainly on future plans. Several options were available at that point. Several options were available at that point. The neighborhood has changed significantly over the years. The neighborhood has changed significantly over the years. That conclusion appears reasonable, given the circumstances. That conclusion appears reasonable, given the circumstances. The experience was completely different from what I imagined. The experience was completely different from what I imagined. The event attracted visitors from many places. The event attracted visitors from many places. The explanation raised several interesting questions. The explanation raised several interesting questions. Everything proceeded smoothly, despite the challenges. Everything proceeded smoothly, despite the challenges. The proposal received support from multiple groups. The proposal received support from multiple groups. The situation became clearer after further investigation. The situation became clearer after further investigation. A few unexpected issues appeared during the process. A few unexpected issues appeared during the process. The response exceeded everyone's expectations. The response exceeded everyone's expectations. The changes were noticeable almost immediately. The changes were noticeable almost immediately. The discussion eventually shifted to another topic. The discussion eventually shifted to another topic. The final arrangement seemed fair to everyone involved. The final arrangement seemed fair to everyone involved. Several factors contributed to the outcome. Several factors contributed to the outcome. The recommendation was based on extensive research. The recommendation was based on extensive research. The overall impression remained positive. Throughout the event, the overall impression remained positive. Throughout the event, could you tell me what happened after the meeting? Could you tell me what happened after the meeting? The shop across the street opened earlier than usual. The shop across the street opened earlier than usual. I didn't expect the journey to take this long. I didn't expect the journey to take this long. That jacket looks perfect for this weather. That jacket looks perfect for this weather. Could you tell me what happened after the meeting? Could you tell me what happened after the meeting? The shop across the street opened earlier than usual. The shop across the street opened earlier than usual. I didn't expect the journey to take this long. I didn't expect the journey to take this long. That jacket looks perfect for this weather. That jacket looks perfect for this weather. We should probably discuss the details later. We should probably discuss the details later. The hotel lobby was surprisingly quiet at that hour. The hotel lobby was surprisingly quiet at that hour. Nobody knew the answer right away. Nobody knew the answer right away. The package arrived sooner than expected. The package arrived sooner than expected. I wonder why. The lights are still on. I wonder why the lights are still on. That suggestion sounds reasonable to me. That suggestion sounds reasonable to me. The bridge looked impressive from a distance. The bridge looked impressive from a distance. We were unable to find the exact location. We were unable to find the exact location. The atmosphere inside felt welcoming and relaxed. The atmosphere inside felt welcoming and relaxed. Someone mentioned a possible change of plans. Someone mentioned a possible change of plans. The exhibition attracted a large number of visitors. The exhibition attracted a large number of visitors. I noticed several improvements since my last visit. I noticed several improvements since my last visit. The road ahead appeared completely clear. The road ahead appeared completely clear. That was one of the most interesting comments today. That was one of the most interesting comments today. The audience reacted positively to the announcement. The audience reacted positively to the announcement. The situation developed much faster than expected. The situation developed much faster than expected. A gentle breeze moved through the open windows. A gentle breeze moved through the open windows. The design combines simplicity with elegance. The design combines simplicity with elegance. We arrived just in time for the presentation. We arrived just in time for the presentation. The explanation provided a clearer perspective. The explanation provided a clearer perspective. Several guests gathered near the entrance hall. Several guests gathered near the entrance hall. The conversation shifted naturally toward travel experiences. The conversation shifted naturally toward travel experiences. The building has remained unchanged for many years. The building has remained unchanged for many years. That observation raised an important point. That observation raised an important point. The performance received enthusiastic applause. The performance received enthusiastic applause. I wasn't completely certain about the direction. I wasn't completely certain about the direction. The view improved dramatically as we moved higher. The view improved dramatically as we moved higher. The restaurant offered a wide variety of dishes. The restaurant offered a wide variety of dishes. Everyone seemed curious about the outcome. Everyone seemed curious about the outcome. The arrangement worked better than anticipated. The arrangement worked better than anticipated. The announcement created considerable excitement. The announcement created considerable excitement. A brief interruption occurred during the discussion. A brief interruption occurred during the discussion. The path through the park was beautifully maintained. The path through the park was beautifully maintained. That explanation answered most of our questions. That explanation answered most of our questions. The unexpected delay caused some confusion. The unexpected delay caused some confusion. The museum displayed several remarkable collections. The museum displayed several remarkable collections. The conversation remained lively throughout the evening. The conversation remained lively throughout the evening. The solution appeared simple at first sight. The solution appeared simple at first sight. Several improvements have been made recently. Several improvements have been made recently. The event generated widespread interest. The event generated widespread interest. That route seems shorter than the other one. That route seems shorter than the other one. The atmosphere became more energetic as people arrived. The atmosphere became more energetic as people arrived. The proposal included several practical suggestions. The proposal included several practical suggestions. The discussion highlighted a number of opportunities. The discussion highlighted a number of opportunities. The scenery looked breathtaking from every angle. The scenery looked breathtaking from every angle. The new arrangement appears far more efficient. The new arrangement appears far more efficient. Have you heard about the new cafe downtown? Have you heard about the new cafe downtown? The train was almost empty when we got on. The train was almost empty when we got on. I can't believe how quickly the week passed. I can't believe How quickly the week passed. That book looks interesting. From what I've seen, that book looks interesting. From what I've seen, the weather forecast says it might rain later. The weather forecast says it might rain later. Someone left their umbrella near the entrance. Someone left their umbrella near the entrance. The music in here is pleasantly relaxing. The music in here is pleasantly relaxing. We ended up taking a completely different route. The view from the balcony is quite impressive. I wasn't expecting such a detailed explanation. The store has recently added several new products. That sounds like a reasonable solution. The crowd slowly gathered around the stage. I noticed a few changes since my last visit. The movie starts in about 20 minutes. The conversation took an unexpected turn. There seems to be a problem with the schedule. The streets were unusually busy this afternoon. That painting caught my attention immediately. The presentation covered several useful topics. I wonder whether they'll arrive on time. The restaurant was quieter than I expected. Someone asked a very thoughtful question. The sky looks clearer than it did earlier. The event was organized remarkably well. That message could have been worded differently. The bus stopped just around the corner. I found the instructions surprisingly easy to follow. The room became quieter. After a few minutes, the atmosphere felt comfortable and welcoming. We spent some time exploring the area. The meeting was delayed due to traffic. That idea deserves a little more attention. The lights reflected beautifully on the water. I didn't realize how far we had walked. The shop remained open later than usual. Everyone seemed interested in the discussion. The road ahead looked completely clear. That decision made a noticeable difference. The exhibition featured a variety of artworks. And that's the end of today's English test. No matter how many sentences you understood today, you are moving forward. Every time you listen, every time you repeat, your English becomes a little stronger. Fluency does not come from studying once. It comes from hearing English again and again and speaking it again and again. Some sentences may have felt easy, some may have felt challenging. Both are part of the learning process. The more you practice shadowing, the more natural English will begin to sound. And little by little, you will notice more confidence in your listening, your speaking, and your everyday communication. Just a few minutes each day can create a big change over time. So keep showing up, keep listening, and keep speaking out loud. You are building a skill, one sentence at a time. If you enjoyed this practice and would like more English shadowing videos, feel free to like the video, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to know how many sentences you understood today. Thank you for spending these few minutes practicing English with me. Take care, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.